Well, I'd like to introduce to you Heather McEnroe. I hope I didn't butcher your name. I've known Heather for almost 3 years now. She's a great storyteller, and when we had lunch, she would make us all laugh. But today her story is from Project 3 on storytelling, and it's a story about moral values with a twist. So I want you to look at her vocal varieties and how all the story flows. And here, I'd like to introduce again Heather McEnroe with the title of her story is Snack Time. So Snack Time, Heather McEnroe. McEnroe. Snack Time.
How did I follow your speech? That was wonderful. Fellow Toastmasters, I have a story for you today. And it started on a day much like this, except a little bit cooler, where the sun was shining and it was wonderful outside. So wonderful that we're going to settle upon a high school where the adolescents are all running around, enjoying their education through their teenage years. And I use the term enjoying very loosely, as we've seen with most adolescents. Specifically, this is taking place in a home ec class where students are bustling around with burners and stoves and learning basic kitchen skills to go on with their lives. Now, with most classes, I don't know if you guys recall from back in the day, there's always that grade A student and that student that's just looking for Elysium, looking to be happy and get through. And that's where this starts. Our grade A student was Jenna. Jenna was an overachiever, brilliant. Teachers had nothing negative to say about her. What a wonderful student, AP student, honor student, that girl's gonna go far. And of course, cooking being her favorite hobby, she excelled in home ec. Then we have Brenna. Brenna didn't always excel, but Brenna looked at every point as a learning experience. If she could take something away from one of her mistakes, she added it and used that to progress in excelling. Well, for today's home ec lesson, we were making chocolate chip cookies. And the class openly decided that the two best cookies came from Jenna and from Brenna. Well, you can't have two first place winners, right? So that initiated a cook-off. The teacher got to the front of the class and said, okay, what we're looking for is a great study snack, something that any one of you could make while you're in the middle of doing your homework and you get a little peckish. Jenna goes, I got this. So she throws some chicken into sauce, leaves it to marinate, starts working on vegetables, rice, starts putting together this whole meal. Brenna, observing her opponent, thinks, what can I do? Meanwhile, Jenna over there chopping up vegetables, throwing them in a searing pan. It's like Top Chef over in Jenna's station. And finally, with about 10 minutes to spare, Brenna has an idea. So calmly, she puts a pan on her burner, throws in some butter, walks over to Jenna's station and goes, I see you have leftover bell pepper. May I have it? Jenna, not thinking of anything. No problem. Yeah, you can have my peppers. Cool. Brenna looks over again. I see that you're done with your onions. May I have your onions? Jenna's just sitting there like, sure. I don't know what you're doing, but yeah, you can take my leftovers. Brenna took the scraps, threw them in a pan, took some eggs out, scrambled them up, threw them in there. Nice, light, fluffy, golden clouds with bits of pepper and onion. Time goes out. Jenna presents to the class a wonderful dish of teriyaki chicken, fried rice with a healthy serving of steamed vegetables. Doesn't that sound delicious? Well, the class thought so. They thought it was super delicious. Meanwhile, Brenna presented, said, "Teacher, I gave you Denver eggs with everything." The students start to look at each other. Isn't that a little simple? Doesn't that seem a little lazy? Like, yeah, it tastes good, but you're in a contest, Brenna. Don't you think you should have done better? And Jenna, being the high and mighty grade A student and a little overconfident, is thinking that she's got this in the bag. She's not mean enough to say anything, but she's got a little bit of a smirk. She's got this. The teacher looks at the two dishes and announces that the winner is Brenna. Eggs with everything. And the whole class erupts, protests. Clearly Jenna had the better dish. It looked nicer, it tasted wonderful, and it had more of a variety. The teacher goes, "Yes, but Jenna missed the objective. The objective was for a snack that any one of you could prepare at home in a minimal amount of time, so that way you can get back to your studies. Now, who has the time to prepare all of this food versus making simple protein-packed dish of eggs and vegetables?" The class sat there, they thought about it, and realistically thought about their cooking skills, and they started to understand. Sometimes it doesn't matter how flashy or showy the meal is, because what's the point if you miss the objective?